Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moments. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Soul Land 3 Legend of the Dragon King Part 27 based on novel. So let's start. East Sea Academy. The hurricane struck East Sea City this time with a suddenness, throwing the entire city into chaos. Stores were unable to do business, schools were unable to teach, and communications had been paralyzed. Every single department of the city's administration was completely swamped with work. The hurricane lasted a whole week. At its peak, it was even able to uproot large trees and bring about great destruction to the buildings. Fortunately, it had now passed. After the hurricane, East Sea City appeared fresher than before. A thin mist created a veil in the air while sunshine sprinkled the earth. Occasionally, the two would combine to create a rainbow off in the clear horizon. What's going on with that guy? He still hasn't answered his communicator. Maybe the communicator ran out of power and we can't get through to him anymore. Xie currently wasn't in the mood to go outside and appreciate the beautiful scenery. He sat in the teacher's building like an anxious cat on a hot tin roof. The reason for his agitation was simple: he couldn't contact Tang Wulin at all. As the hurricane passed by, Xie had been hard at work cultivating under the guidance of Wu Zhongkong and had been able to make a breakthrough. After making this breakthrough, the first thing he wanted to do was tell all of his good friends. Yet, who could have imagined that he wouldn't be able to get through to Tang Wulin's communicator? More importantly, today was the day they returned to class, yet Tang Wulin was still nowhere to be found. Xie didn't even know where he'd gone. Returning to class also meant that the class promotion tournament would resume after. Their opponent was the first grades Class 1, the class with the strongest new students in all of the academy's history. Tang Wulin, this guy, where the hell are you? Do you know which workshop he's in? Maybe we can go find him in the afternoon. Gu's brows were creased and her eyes were full of worry. Xie forced out a bitter smile. I don't have much of an interest in forging, so how would I know where his workshop is? He even called me that day to specially explain that he would be staying at his workshop and he wouldn't have any troubles there. But how come there still isn't any news from him? Could it be that he actually forgot the time? Gu's expression was overcast and gloomy as she steadily said, "What do you know then? Let's go over to the Blacksmiths Association in the afternoon, maybe his workshop is registered with them." Xie didn't refute Gu for once, but instead nodded his head and agreed. That's a good idea. Let's go there later. Tang Wulin still hadn't shown up to class, even as it was dismissed at noon. Xie and Gu went to find Wu Zhongkong before they quickly flew out of the campus, heading straight for the Blacksmiths Association. An hour later, however, they left the Blacksmiths Association with gloomy expressions. The Blacksmiths Association's reply had been very simple: any information regarding forging spaces registered with the association was confidential and could not be leaked out. It would only be possible if they had the approval of the government. Moreover, Tang Wulin's information was on an even higher level of confidentiality than ordinary blacksmiths. What do we do now? Should we ask Teacher Wu to apply for a government permit and then come back and ask? Gu asked Xie. Xie laughed bitterly. We don't have enough time for that. It's easy to get a government permit, but what we're short on is time. Our request definitely wouldn't be approved today while our match is tonight. I'm afraid it'll be up to the two of us to win this battle. Wulin isn't this type of unreliable person. He must have met with some problem that prevented him from coming. Gu raised her head and revealed a sour expression. We can discuss this after we return. Either way, let's first have Teacher Wu apply for a government permit. It's crucial that Wulin is there for our match. A government permit? Wu Zhongkong stared at his two students, his originally ice-cold expression gradually thawing to reveal gloom. Tang Wulin hadn't gone to any of his classes at all and they weren't able to find him anywhere. All right then, you two hurry on back to class first. I will handle this, Wu Zhongkong coldly said. Teacher, then will it just be us two in the match tonight? Asked Xie. Wu Zhongkong shot him a glance. It'll just be the two of you. Yes. Xie and Gu returned to class with hearts full of worry and a sour mood. Although the difference between a 2 versus 2 battle and a 3 versus 3 battle seemed small, and that Tang Wulin was the weakest one among them, they were already accustomed to fighting as a team of 3. Without Tang Wulin, it felt as though they were lacking something. Their afternoon classes flew by quickly. Maybe it was because the week-long hurricane had stifled the students for too long, but when they were dismissed today, many of them gathered at the field. In fact, there were even some teachers present. They were all there to watch the match today. Have you heard? This year's class promotion tournament is full of prodigies. Class 5 has actually been having triumph after triumph and have already won 3 matches. Who knows if this dark horse will continue until the end, though? Stop dreaming. Don't you know how frightening this year's Class 1 is? They are reputed to be the strongest new students in all of the Academy's history. Their class actually has 3 soul grandmasters with powerful martial souls. In comparison, the 3 participants from Class 5 are merely 1-ringed soul masters. With a gap between their soul skills and soul power, they don't stand even a chance. I really want to see how far Class 1 can advance in this tournament. I heard that all of the classes in the 2nd grade are presently feeling the pressure of a great mountain upon their backs. Hee. Students continuously broke into discussion one after another while the teacher soon arrived in a group. The teacher in charge of the 1st grade's Class 4, Kong Han Wen, had his gaze stuck to the crowd the whole time, searching for something with a grim expression. "Teacher Kong, what are you looking for?" The teacher in charge of Class 3, Yi Ingrong, suspiciously asked him. Kong Han Wen answered, "I'm looking for that bastard, Wu Zhongkong. Isn't he just too arrogant? I want to see if his students can truly prevail today." Kong Han Wen held back a sigh within his heart. After all, his class had been beaten by Tang Wulin's trio, meaning that he was now in charge of the lowest class of the grade. Yi Ingrong let out a gentle sigh. That's right. This year's Class 1 is simply too powerful. I don't think anyone in the 2nd grade can face them either. Even the 2nd grade's Class 1 only has 2 soul grandmasters right now. I think this year's Class 1 will definitely be able to battle all the way until the 3rd grade in this tournament. Kong Han Wen sneered but remained silent. His purpose for coming today was to see how that icily arrogant Prince Charming's face would look after his students lost. "They are here," Yi Ingrong said in a hushed tone. Kong Han Wen followed her gaze and sure enough, Wu Zhongkong stood with the rest of Class 5, looking towards the stage. Behind him were 2 of his impressive disciples, Xie and Gu. What astonished Kong Han Wen, however, was that the pretty boy was nowhere to be found. He seemed to recall that the student's name was Tang Wulin. Right when Wu Zhongkong appeared with his class, an uproar began on the other side. The students quickly parted to make a path. A female teacher in her late 20s led the way enthusiastically. She looked exceptionally similar to Yi Ingrong, with at least 60% of their features being the same. She was even a bit prettier than Yi Ingrong, but had an air of arrogance to her. Following behind her were the highly acclaimed, most powerful new students of Class 1 in recent history. Leading the class was a trio of 3 boys. On the left was the one Tang Wulin, Xie, and Gu had met previously, Wei Xiaofeng. In the middle was a tall youth who seemed calm in comparison to Wei Xiaofeng's arrogance. He had a maturity that surpassed that of his peers. On his other side was an extremely thin boy, as if he was made of only skin and bones. He carried an expression full of gloom and iciness. Even his aura was gloomy. In fact, he was so gloomy that no one walked behind him. It seemed that no one wanted to even approach him. The 2 parties assembled on opposite sides of each other on the stage, waiting for the match to begin. Yi Ingrong took brisk steps to the side of that female teacher and greeted in a soft voice, "Big sister." The teacher for Class 1 of the 1st grade was none other than Yi Yingluo, Yi Ingrong's elder sister and the person whom Wu Zhongkong ruthlessly rejected. Yi Yingluo nodded her head towards her younger sister. Her eyes, however, were involuntarily attracted to the person standing on the other side. She looked at Wu Zhongkong, her eyes a bit complicated. A few days ago, she witnessed the battle between Wu Zhongkong and Guang Biao, and it had etched a deep impression in her mind. But this didn't wipe off the scar that Wu Zhongkong had left in her heart. Which part of me doesn't deserve you? Wu Zhongkong, just you wait. I'll ensure your cheeks will be pressed against the ground, and I'll make that arrogant coldness of yours disappear. Wu Zhongkong felt as though someone was watching him from afar, so he turned around to look. Though Yi Yingluo's heart was full of hatred towards him, she involuntarily tried to pose in her best position when he looked over at her. But what was that look of his? Yi Yingluo was infuriated. When Wu Zhongkong's eyes rested on her, they didn't stay at all. Furthermore, his gaze was emotionless when they swept past her, as if nothing was out of the ordinary. Bastard. This person is still a bastard. Yi Yingluo saw the expression on her sister's face and knew it meant nothing good. She understood this arrogant sister of hers well enough to know that Yi Yingluo was given the title of child prodigy when she was younger. Her failure in getting accepted into Shrek Academy had devastated her, changing her into a highly temperamental person. Thus, when she had been rejected by Wu Zhongkong, she became like this. Sister, you should know very well that whatever you do won't help. There is no place for us in this man's eyes. To put it plainly, we have never been on the same level as him. Regardless of what you do, it won't change anything. Of course, Yi Yingluo didn't dare voice these words out loud to her elder sister, as she was highly aware that with her elder sister's temperament, Yi Yingluo might go mad if she was told this. Yangzi, help me teach them a good lesson. Yi Yingluo turned back and barked ferociously at the calm teenager who stood behind her. Yes, teacher. There was a flash of light in the eyes of this teenager by the name of Yangzi before he regained his previously calm demeanor. Director Long Hongxue walked up the stage at this point in time. He first nodded his head to both classes' teachers in acknowledgement before he began to speak in a deep voice. This ranking tournament had previously been postponed because of the typhoon. Today will be the fourth match. First grades class 5 will be competing against first grades class 1. First grade class 5's teacher Wu, how many participants from your side will compete today? Long Hongxue's mood was very complicated at this point in time. He had wanted first grade class 5 to be defeated quickly to prevent those black horses from climbing up. Class sorting was a duty of his, so if these participants from class 5 were still undefeated, he would be very ashamed of his decisions. The academy would then question him on his class sorting decisions. In particular, their audit would be on the possibility of first grade class 5 remaining undefeated. This would include some leads into the investigation of Wu Zhongkong's methods of teaching, but would ultimately cover his error in the sorting of students into classes. Wu Zhongkong's display of strength and power that day, however, had aided in easing the difficult situation for him. At least, Wu Zhongkong's teaching ability was recognized by most of the school directors. A direct advancement opportunity was thus created for this teacher Wu into the Advanced Academy. After all, it would be very advantageous for the academy to have someone this powerful within East Sea Academy. Competitions were rife within academies in every city, especially so within the intermediate academies. In the advanced academies, the sole purpose of these students was to bring glory to their academy by competing against higher-ranked academies and winning. As these academies became more renowned, they would naturally attract better students to enroll in their academies. Thus, after what happened that day, Long Hongxue didn't really dare to offend Wu Zhongkong. Our class will have, Wu Zhongkong was about to mention that two would be competing from his class when a voice traveled to him from behind first grade class 5. Teacher Wu, please wait. Upon hearing this familiar voice, Xie Xie and Ji Yu, who were standing behind Wu Zhongkong, broke out into surprised grins. The crowd parted, and a worn and weary Tang Wulin rushed to the front. His current appearance starved him from others' compliments as his hair was unkempt and a pale pallor painted the whole of his face. He appeared to be breathing erratically. Where did you run off to? Why did you only come now? Xie Xie snapped at him. Tang Wulin grimaced as he answered. It's a long story. Let's compete first. Teacher Wu, I'm able to battle. Wu Zhongkong looked towards him with an expressionless face and nodded his head before speaking to Long Hongxue again. We have 3 participants from our class. Long Hangshu replied, first grades class 1 may select 3 students to compete as well. Yi Yingluo tilted her head upward. Fine. Long Hangshu spoke again, participants from both classes, please enter. Ji Yu moved towards Tang Wulin's side and whispered, do you think you can compete? How's your body? While she could see that there was something wrong with Tang Wulin, his body emitted an aura that further befuddled her. I'm fine. Tang Wulin had regained, once again, that grin of confidence from before. Ji Yu nodded her head, let's win together. Tang Wulin moved to occupy the center position once more. Xie and Ji Yu were positioned behind him as the trio walked together up towards the stage. On the other side, Class 1's 3 students entered the stage as well. I'm Zhong Yangzi, said the calm teenager in the center. Wei Xiaofeng, we've met a while ago. Wei Xiaofeng reached out his hand and stuck out his thumb before slowly twisting his wrist downward, issuing a provocative move. You? Xie was infuriated and was about to rush up towards him, but was prevented from doing so by Tang Wulin grabbing his shoulder. Xie was shocked as he eyed Tang Wulin. This guy's strength grew again. Wang Jinsi. The wiry student from Class 1 introduced himself. Tang Wulin introduced his side. First grades Class 5, Tang Wulin. Ji Yu. Xie. Xie's eyes were brimming with iciness as he stared at Wei Xiaofeng. Long Hangshu observed both teams. There seemed to be a powerful smell of gunpowder even when the match had yet to begin. He scowled as he emphasized again, let me make myself clear once more. This is a school tournament. In this tournament, there will only be winning and losing, nothing else. No participant shall harm the competitor. If they do so, they will be punished severely by the academy. Understood? All 6 of the participants shouted in unison. Good. Prepare yourselves, both sides please step back. Under Long Hangshu's supervision, both teams moved back and opened up the distance between one another. Start! The crowd hollered out loud in companion to the director's command, signifying the start of the first grade's final match in the tournament. From both sides of Class 1 and Class 5, Wei Xiaofeng and Xie respectively rushed forward at the same time. They had long decided that the other was an eyesore and had since been unable to tolerate one another, even before the start of the match. At that instant, 2 yellow soul rings appeared beneath Wei Xiaofeng's feet. At the same time, a green ray of light appeared on his body and a small green snake appeared on his shoulder. Comparing this with Tang Wulin's tiny earthy snake, Gold Light, his snake was vastly different. This small snake was turquoise in color and had a pair of transparent green wings. Although it looked small, it seemed very powerful. What was even more shocking was Wei Xiaofeng's apparent changes. He grew more flexible, and his skin now had a green tint. To be an outstanding student in Class 1 and to be able to maintain that title, Wei Xiaofeng was obviously not an easy opponent. This was naturally demonstrated by his attainment of the 2-ringed realm at such a young age. His spirit soul was a 100-year green shadow snake. It was an arduous and expensive task to search for this spirit soul which matched his body completely, since his martial soul was the green shadow snake. After fusing with this spirit soul, his enhancements when cultivating grew immediately, and within a short span of time, he advanced from 1 ring to 2 rings. However, a 100-year spirit soul could only add 2 soul rings. After 20 ranks, his speed of advancement would greatly depreciate. Nevertheless, the green shadow snake soul spirit had aided him in building up a strong foundation, allowing his advancement to exceed his peers by far. Wei Xiaofeng was also an agility system battle soul master, and as he was charging forward, he flickered from left to right, creating illusions of himself. Although he didn't have Xie's speed, he seemed to be more agile than Xie. What shocked Wei Xiaofeng the most, however, was the 2 yellow soul rings beneath Xie's feet. His vigor had increased greatly with the appearance of those 2 yellow rings. Tang Wulin noticed that the light dragon dagger in Xie's hand had reduced in size by 1 circle and its light had become dimmer, yet it seemed to have grown more solid. The lines on the dagger were even clearer to see and now carried a terrifying aura to it. 2 rings? There's actually a student in Class 5 with 2 rings? Despite having just arrived at the sidelines, Long Hongshu's mouth was already agape. In comparison to Class 1 with its 3 Soul Grandmasters, the fact that a Soul Grandmaster appeared in Class 5 was even more shocking. It was an unprecedented event in all of East Sea Academy's history. Long Hengsu felt his face heat in pain as though he'd been smacked in the face. "Oh Wu Zhongkong, Wu Zhongkong. You truly are capable." The whole of Class 5 began to cheer when they saw that there were actually 2 rings beneath Xie Xie's feet. In a flash of light and shadow, the 2 of them rushing towards the other. With a grave expression, Xie Xie sped up, turning into a golden light, spiraling in an arc towards Wei Xiaofeng and pressing him back. Before they even clashed, Xie Xie's oppressive aura made Wei Xiaofeng feel as if he was being chopped up. What powerful soul power! He must have just broken through, while I'm already at rank 22. How can his soul power still be so oppressive? Naturally, Wei Xiaofeng didn't know that with his twin souls, Xie Xie's soul power was far mightier than others at the same rank. None of the other 4 remained idle while these 2 clashed. Tang Wulin didn't immediately release his martial soul, but rather he rushed forward madly, making a beeline for the opponent's commander, Zhong Yangzi. Gu's figure flickered for a moment before quickly reappearing behind Tang Wulin, as if she were his shadow. Although Tang Wulin only relied on his tyrannical strength and was nowhere near as fast as Xie Xie, he was certainly not slow either. Gu was light as a feather, as if she were a ghost. From beginning to end, she stuck herself to Tang Wulin's back. Zhong Yangzi stood there without budging a single inch, as if he paid no mind to Tang Wulin's charge at all. Rather, it was Wang Jinsi who moved from his side. Similar to his teammates, Wang Jinsi also had 2 soul rings. His slim figure seemed to swell a bit, but what had grown in size weren't his muscles, but rather his skeleton. He looked like a bony rack as he raised his arms to let forth a stream of black gas. This? He actually has martial soul with the darkness attribute? Wang Jinsi took large strides forward to meet Tang Wulin, his arms extended in front of him the whole time. 2 black flames seemed to ignite within his eyes as he advanced. His spirit soul was nowhere to be found and no one knew what it was. Despite this, Tang Wulin's expression remained unchanged. A white soul ring appeared underfoot as he raised his arms forward and the little gold light slithered out from his shirt collar to expose its tiny head. Of those present, it was only Wu Zhongkong in the audience who noticed that Goldlight's head had grown much larger than before. But with its body hidden within Tang Wulin's clothing, he couldn't get a clear look at it. A layer of earth and yellow light enshrouded Tang Wulin, causing his figure to appear even thicker than before. His speed, however, slowed down a bit. A red ball of light flew by his shoulder from behind, just barely missing. Surprisingly, it was a fireball. POW. It struck Wang Jinsi's right hand, but in a flash of black radiance, the fireball was extinguished. In the moment following, he began his exchange of blows with Tang Wulin. A face-to-face battle was the domain of an assault system soul master. Bang! A muffled bang was heard. Tang Wulin came to a stop with a trembling body while Wang Jinsi retreated 3 steps after receiving Tang Wulin's punch. The unmoving Zhong Yangzi's face colored with astonishment. He understood how much strength Wang Jinsi possessed, as he had a first-class close combat martial soul that made him an excellent assault system soul master. In fact, even he himself could not compare in physical strength with Wang Jinsi. He had been absolutely convinced beforehand that within East Sea Academy's intermediate division and for those with less than 3 rings, there were few who could compete in strength. After all, Wang Jinsi's martial soul was just that powerful. Yet, an unbelievable scene played out before him. A mere 1-ring soul master with a 10-year soul ring actually possessed strength that surpassed Wang Jinsi's? This was simply inconceivable. It wasn't just Zhong Yangzi who thought this way, Wang Jinsi was equally as shocked at Tang Wulin's strength. In the moment when they had exchanged blows, he felt as if he was a lone man facing an unshakable mountain. That tremendous strength of Tang Wulin's was something he was completely unable to contend with. He couldn't help but retreat. Gu didn't follow up with another attack, but instead continued to hide behind Tang Wulin's back. They still had one opponent who had yet to make their move, so she wanted to conserve her strength. In the moment Tang Wulin's fist struck Wang Jinsi, the peculiar feeling within Ji Yu's heart grew even further. On the other side, Xie Xie and Wei Xiaofeng were still engaged in an intense clash. Faced with the threat of Xie Xie's assault, Wei Xiaofeng's first soul ring lit up as he used his first soul skill. His body suddenly became illusory as a series of phantoms appeared behind him. These phantoms appeared unreal as they revolved around him and he blended in among them, making it hard for others to identify the real one. For his Green Shadow Snake martial soul, Wei Xiaofeng's first soul skill was Green Shadow Clones. Wei Xiaofeng's spirit soul and martial soul backed up his arrogance. With their extreme compatibility with each other, the soul skills he obtained had been a level higher than what other soul masters could get. Although these Green Shadow Clones were simply clones, they were nearly identical to the real thing and possessed an illusory air to them. Wei Xiaofeng's foot quietly reached out, winding about Xie Xie's leg. Could Xie Xie distinguish between the phantoms and the true body? Naturally, the current him couldn't. But he still had means. Wu Zhongkong had taught him that if he ever encountered an opponent with abilities he could not analyze, the best method to deal with them was to fully display one's own abilities. With the use of his strongest abilities, Xie Xie would forcefully break through. Thus, Xie Xie activated his first soul ring, lighting up the Green Shadow Clones for a moment. A radiant golden blade slashed out. Why do I care how many phantoms you have? One attack and I'll know which one is real and which are fake. After reaching rank 20, Xie Xie's soul power had reached another realm, causing the might of his light dragon blade to grow substantially. The blade of golden light was just like a crescent moon slashing out. A series of shrill sounds could be heard as the edge of the blade sliced through the wind. Wei Xiaofeng was startled. He hastily pulled back his foot and jumped in an attempt to evade Xie Xie's attack. But destroyed phantoms were still destroyed phantoms. When he leapt up in retreat, the phantoms followed right behind him. In that moment, he was revealed. Xie Xie exploded off the balls of his feet, raising his light dragon blade as his body spun, heading straight for Wei Xiaofeng. Wei Xiaofeng's Green Shadow Clones were assembled together in a desperate attempt to ward off Xie Xie, but these clones only had 10% of Wei Xiaofeng's strength. Whenever Xie Xie's light dragon blade passed by, one clone after another would be crushed. He had broken through Wei Xiaofeng's soul skill. The spectators from the first grades Class 1 were dumbstruck. Wei Xiaofeng was actually being caught in this wind? His clones had actually been annihilated with such a brute force method? Only Yi Yinglue was able to identify the problem. Xie Xie's martial soul was unusual. At first glance, it would appear to be merely a dagger, but it was far sharper than a dagger and possessed its own innate aura which exerted a level of pressure on Wei Xiaofeng. Wei Xiaofeng's usual confidence had been stifled and his full strength couldn't be displayed at all. One blue vine after another shot from the ground to bind Wang Jinsi. At some point in time, a pair of metal hammers had also appeared in Tang Wulin's hands. In order to face such a powerful opponent, he couldn't hold back this time. The hammers he brought out were his 1,000 refined heavy silver hammers. He could already tell from their previous clash that Wang Jinsi's martial soul had something to do with his bones. I don't care what kind of martial soul you have. If I can forge uncommon metals, then why can't I smash your bones? Who? Wang Jinsi was enraged by the loss he had just suffered in their exchange. Beneath his feet, his first soul ring began to shine and a strange transformation overcame his body. His entire right arm rapidly expanded, especially his hand as his 5 fingers fused into 4 extremely thick ones, his fingernails turning pitch black. This enormous arm of his now gave off a tyrannical feeling. His transformation complete, he threw himself straight at Tang Wulin. Wang Jinsi didn't bother to concern himself with Tang Wulin's blue-silver grass. This video will end here.